Okay, I would like to recap with you all. Remember about bracket, uh, bracket plus, bracket minus, minus bracket plus bracket. Remember this four thing? Only bracket minus is plus, the rest is minus. We remember this, right? Now today what I'm going to teach you is times. We got bracket times, we got times bracket, type 2, type 1, type 2. Type 3 is divide bracket, type 4 is bracket divide. Now there's 4 types, just like your plus minus also got 4 types. You got 1, 2, 3 and 4. There are 4 types. Now only this one is plus, bracket minus is plus, the rest is minus. The same thing with times. Bracket times, times bracket, divide bracket, bracket divide. Now divide is like your minus. So type 4 is actually going to times. The rest of these types you are going to do divide. Type 1 you're going to divide. Type 2 you're going to divide. Type 3 you're also going to divide, because it's not divide bracket, it has to be bracket divide only you times. Bracket divide is times. I'm going to show you how we are going to do this question. Now when this is times, we move this over to the other side. So bracket equal, so we are going to move, so we write back those that we are not moving. Bracket we write back, equal we write back, 12 we write back. We move this times and this 3 to the other side. Times will become, the opposite is divide 3. So bracket equal 12 divide 3, we get 4. So bracket is actually 4. In fact, if you put the 4 back into the bracket, 4 times 3, isn't it 12? So this bracket is actually 4. Why I am teaching you this, later you will know, because I'm going to connect this to fraction. Okay, because I want you to understand this basic concept first before we can do fraction. Now we understand this, right? Bracket times this, we want to find bracket, right? So we don't move the bracket. When it is bracket, in front of this bracket is nothing, right? We don't move the bracket. If it's minus or divide at the front of this bracket, we have to move the bracket. Remember, the condition must be to move the bracket, in front must got minus or divide. Okay, plus and times we don't move. Later I'll show you. Okay, now type 2, in front of the bracket is times. Am I correct? So in front of this bracket is times. Now we do not move the bracket, we do not move the equal, we do not move the 24. Who do we move? We move the 4. But Mr. Lim, in front of this 4 there's nothing. So what are we going to do? Now, because this operation is times, so we are going to assume that there's in front of this is a times also. So in front of this is a times. When we bring it over to the other side, times will become divide 4. So imagine there's an invisible times in front of this 4. Invisible times in front of this 4. When we bring it to the other side, times will become divide. So question, 24 divided by 4, what do we get? 6. So bracket is actually 6. So imagine if you put this 6 into the bracket, 4 times 6, is it 24? Do you see that? Understand? Now the next one is divide. Now remember, just like I said, the condition is in front of this bracket must not divide or minus. Mr. Lim, now is divide. So how? So when this is divide, we move this bracket to the other side, make it becomes times or plus. So we are going to write back the 21, the equal, and the 7 because we are going to move this bracket. So when we move this bracket to the other side, what happened? Divide will becomes times. Do you see that? Times bracket. So what's next step? Next step, what happened is we are going to move. Are we going to move the bracket already? No, we are going to write back this bracket and write back this 21 and the equal because we are going to move the 7 because when the bracket in front of the bracket is plus and times, we don't move it, we move the other thing, that is the number. So in front of this number, just like this, type 2, there's an invisible times because this is times. So there's an invisible times. The operation here is times. So there's an invisible times in front. So when we bring it to the other side, times will become divide 7. Okay? Times, when we bring it over, becomes divide 7. When this happens, 21 divided 7, we get 3. So your answer of this bracket is 3. If you don't believe, you put this 3 into the bracket because bracket is equal to 3, right? Put it back into this bracket. 21 divided by 3, is it 7? Do you see that? So you have to understand how to move the numbers around, just like your algebra that I taught you before. It is the same idea. Now, remember the opposite. So in front of this bracket, is it plus or times? It's plus or times, right? Because there's nothing here. And Mr. Lim, you say this divide, then in front here should be divide ma? No. Now, this in front of a bracket can only be plus or times. In front of this bracket can only be plus or times. Because if it's a divide, they will always write a divide in front, or if it's a minus, they will always write a minus in front of the bracket. When there's an invisible thing in front, it can only be plus or times. So we assume that this is times or plus. It doesn't make any difference because we are not going to move this bracket and we are not going to move this equal, we are not going to move this 7. So we are going to move this number and the divide. So divide, when we move it, when we cross this equal sign, divide will become times, times will become divide, plus will become minus, minus will become plus. That is the idea. Okay, so this is divide 5. So divide becomes times 5. So bracket equals 7 times 5, we get 35. So imagine this bracket is 35. You put it back into this bracket. 35 divide 5, is it 7? So that is why I said, you see, the times, the bracket divide is times. You see or not? What we do? We do times. Bracket divide is times because we did times. Divide bracket, what do? We do divide. Bracket times, what do? We do divide to find the answer. Times bracket, what do? We do divide to find the answer. So I hope you remember. So only bracket divide is times, the rest is divide. Bracket divide is times, the rest is divide. Just like your bracket minus is plus, the rest is minus. And second thing you must remember, when we move divide to the other side, it becomes times because our equal is our middle. Our equal is our middle. So divide will become times. Times will become divide. See, because we move, the middle is always here at the equal sign. Do you see that? The equal sign is your middle. The equal sign is your middle. So we don't move the middle. Okay? So when this happens, times, when we bring it over, cross the middle, times will become divide. Times will become divide. Same goes to this. We don't move the middle, the equal. And when we bring this 4 to the other side, invisible times, times will become divide. So I hope you remember, when we cross this equal sign, the operation becomes the opposite. The operation becomes the opposite. Okay? Thank you.